there guys, it's Morgan with the Daily Draft, where we take Magic one draft at a time. We are once more in a Battle for Zendikar pack per win Swiss draft because I think the Legendary Cube format has been solved. You take signets and 5 drops, and ways to interact with other people's 5 drops. So, that's all it is. We might do it later. Yeah. So we're just waiting for one more person to hop into this queue, and we'll get started. Alright, so we're starting out with a bit of a choice. There is a Touch of the Void here, which is a quality removal spell. There is also a Clutch of Currents, which, I tend to favor just because it's a Clutch of Currents. Clutch of Currents is pretty sweet. There's also a Gideon's Reproach and a Sheer Drop in this pack, but there's also a Nissa's Renewal. Nissa's Renewal is pretty great because I figured out that in this format you just want to be casting fatties as much as possible, which means Brood Monitor is an option as well. I think it's between Touch of the Void, Clutch of Currents, and Nissa's Renewal. There wasn't much of a choice otherwise. I'm gonna take Nissa's Renewal. It's probably wrong. I can tell you that right now. But it's the most fun. So that's what we're doing. And I don't think I could stand doing this series if I couldn't have fun once in a while. Alright, so here there's an Angel of Renewal, Sky Spawner, Core Castigator, I suppose. I think it's between the Renewal and the Sky Spawner, and because I took a 6-drop already and I like playing blue-green, I'm going to take the Sky Spawner. Renewal is good, but, it's a little big for what this deck is probably going to end up doing. And by that I mean, it's only a 4/4 for 6. You need to get much bigger than that to make the Nissa's Renewal deck. There's not a lot going on in this pack. There's a Snapping Gnarlid, an Oran-Wraith Invoker, and a Wavewing Elemental that I'm, looking at. There's literally nothing good in this pack, is the problem. These two are fine. This is good. I'm gonna take the Wavewing Elemental, because it can get real big. Alright, well, Ondu Rising is probably the best card in this pack. The Life Swing is pretty intense. Natural Connection and Territorial Bailout are fine. Anticipate's fine, but I'm just going to take the Ondu Rising as the best card in the pack. Well, there's a flyer. Grove Tender Druids is pretty sweet. Retreat to Kazandu is actually pretty good with Nissa's Renewal now that I think about it, but we've passed 3 of them, so I don't really feel the need to pick up another one. So I'm just going to take a Cloud Manta here and stick to the plan of flyers. Speaking of, Courier Griffin is probably one of the better white flyers, and yeah, I like it more than I like Call the Scions. So I'm going to take it. Kind of an awkward deck so far. Well, we have an Eldrazi Devastator, which is a fine card. Core Entanglers, which is actually pretty neat. Tajuru Stalwart, which is a great 3-drop. Infuse with the Elements, which is a funny trick. I think I want the Entanglers here. That's probably the strongest card in the pack, although, Eldrazi Devastator is a pretty sweet late game. Yeah, we're gonna take the Devastator here. We're going big. We first picked a Nissa's Renewal. Let's be real. Oh man. Punished. There was one in this pack too. Do I take it? No, I don't think so. I'd rather just take a Fertile Thicket. Or a Blade Master, but not so hot on the Blade Master. We are passing some pretty good Naya Allies stuff, so I should not ever let the thought of being allies cross my mind again. There's also an Oracle of Dust, but those are pretty easy to pick up, and Fertile Thicket is less so. Alright, Skyrider Elf. It's a pretty good one. It's a flyer, so A+ in my book. Let's take a Sandstone Bridge. Don't really mind that. I have to not forget about these. I do that sometimes. Take another Thicket. I was like, oh, Colossary Night Watch? No, I'll take a Mindbreaker, I guess. Like, these aren't bad cards. They're actually pretty reasonable. Dear Moto. Why leg? Alright, so we opened one of my favorite cards in this format, Bane of Balaged. I like that card. I like Rune Processor as well, and I think Incubator Drone would be pretty good in this deck too, but definitely pretty happy just taking the Bane. Spawning Bed Suite. Prism Array Suite. But yeah, we're just gonna take the Bane of Balaged because if you ramp that guy out, stuff gets real. There's a Ruination Guide here. There's also a second Sky Spawner. That's kind of rough. That's kind of tough. There's also a Tajuru Warcaller, although I would definitely take the Ruination Guide or the Sky Spawner before I took the Warcaller. I think we take the Sky Spawner here. It's kind of weird. Like, Ruination Guide is really good, but we want more bodies on the battlefield. Like, that's why we have Sky Spawners, because we want to get up to this point, versus Ruination Guide, which is just like a overrun strat. Reclaimer's pretty cool, but we can get back Nissa's Renewal. I don't like it nearly as much as I like Clutch of Currents, though, and there's even an argument for taking Coilhelm Guide or Tajuru Stalwart over it, but I'd probably just take the Reclaimer. So yeah, I'm gonna take the Clutch of Currents. There's a second Clutch of Currents here. There's also a Blighted Cataract. Yeah, it's not particularly close. I'm gonna take a Merc Strider here, because if we do get, like, Mist Intruders, Merc Strider is really good. Or Benthic Infiltrators. And it's got the same stats as a Cloud Manta, and if we block with it, it does the same thing. So, I'll take the Merc Strider. Let's see. There's a Felidar Cub, which is probably the best card for our deck in this pack. Foil Ulamog's Despoiler isn't super exciting, especially since we don't really have any ways to ingest yet. Oran Reef Invoker is fine if we are for sure playing green, which not quite sure we are. So I'm just going to take the Felidar Cub. It's, you know, reasonable. It's got some utility. And it's so cute. Aligned Hedron Network might actually be pretty good in this deck. Stone Fury is probably the best card in the pack. You know what? I'm going to take the Stone Fury because I have 3 red cards and they're white cards and they're not, like, irreplaceable. So, I'm taking the best card in the pack. Oh, hey, Royal Spout. Speaking of white cards, alright, that's about as much encouragement as I needed. We have some interesting choices here. There is a Spell Shrivel, which I think I'm going to end up taking because we want ways to exile stuff for Merc Strider. But there's also a Spawning Bed, a Core Castigator, and a Sky Cascade, which all are playable. I'm gonna cut this Myers Malice. Don't want to play or Ondu Greathorn, so I'm gonna cut the Valakut Invoker. This Wield, which is kind of crazy. Skyline Cascade is fine. Brilliant Spectrum, not great in this deck. And planes. Sweet. So far 2 for 2 on full art land value. Alright, so a couple of sweet options here. There's another Royal Spout, which is always nice. There's an Ondu Rising, which is fine, but I think it has a little less utility than Royal Spout. We could also splash this Fathom Feeder, which would be pretty cool. What do you guys think about trying to wheel the Royal Spout? Yeah, you're right. It probably isn't worth it. Yeah, I'll just take another Royal Spout. That's fine. I need a Halimar Tidecaller, and how? we've got an interesting choice here. There's a benthic infiltrator, which is a reliable source of exiled cards for Mercstrider, but there's also an encircling fissure, which is just a sweet trick. And I think I want the encircling fissure, because I'm nothing if not tricksy. Although, like, my biggest worry is, like, trying to get the full value out of encircling fissure, which is probably not going to ever happen. Definitely taking Evolving Wilds here over, like, literally anything else in that pack. Makes Nissa's Renewal a little bit more of an option. I'm going to take Shadow Glider here. Yeah, having another 3-drop flyer is good. Not a lot going on in here. I'd be much more excited about the Cryptic Cruiser if I had taken the benthic infiltrator. As it is, I'm probably going to take it anyway. It's like the best card in the pack for me. So, but yeah, having a consistent way to exile cards is definitely what makes this card very strong. Sure, I'll take a 2-drop, that's fine. Especially since my main deck now has 23 cards, so we finally got there. Alright, so we have a couple of options here. There's a Coral Helm Guide and a Fortified Rampart that are both pretty sweet in this deck, actually. Fortified Rampart has the positive of just being something to do. That's really hard to remove. Coral Helm Guide gives things like Bane of Valaged and Eldrazi Devastator unblockable. And by that I mean it makes it unable to be blocked this turn. Since I have a couple 2-drops already and then some other kind of aggressive cards, I think I'm just going to take the Coral Helm Guide. It's kind of a weird choice, but yeah, we'll be fine. Put the Royal Mage's Trick in the sideboard. Wield the Ondu Rising, which is insane. Do I take it over Smite the Monstrous? Yeah, probably. Hey, Smite the Monstrous. There's also a Sludge Crawler in this pack. Like, blue-black might have been super open. I don't know. Dispel is sweet. Probably not going to play it, but... Do I splash these cards? I'm still considering it because our deck is pretty, like, mana hungry. I'll take another cub. Our curve, though. Natural Connection, sideboard, around sideboard. Like, these cards are pretty good. Like, I can cut the Cryptic Cruiser, probably. And, like, one of the cubs. And... maybe Mercstrider? That can't be right. Maybe like Wavewing Elemental. The Wavewing Elemental's sweet. Like, I think... Skyrider Elf is worth having, but... I think I can cut it in favor of just like playing Nissa's Renewal. Like, double Fertile Thicket seems fine, except for we have all these non-land sources, so maybe just one of them. Yeah, we're gonna do this. We're gonna add some basics. 1 forest, 6 and 6. That seems fine. And we're gonna submit. Deck's interesting. I'll see you.